Hello, students. It's a pleasure to welcome you all to this session. The topic for today is an essay from Indian Literature for 6th Sem Optional English Students, Bangalore University. I am Grace Joshua, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Teachers Academy Degree College, Hennur, Bangalore. Let's begin the session with a short introduction to the writer. Rajeswari Sunder Rajan is an Indian feminist scholar, a professor in English, and author of several books on issues related to feminism and gender. She has also edited a series called The Issues in Contemporary Indian Feminism and Signposts Gender Issues in Post-Independence India. To know more about her writings, she has authored many books, of which the notable ones are The Scandal of the State, Women, Law and Citizenship in Post-Colonial India, Real and Imagined Women, Gender, Culture and Post-Colonialism. Dear students, among many of her writings, let's learn today about one of her essays titled The Language Debate. I repeat, the title is The Language Debate. The writer, through her essay, debates the position of English in India. Here are the highlights of the essay. Number 1. The position of English in various third world countries or even among Britain's former colonies is not identical. Secondly, in India, English is only a second language in most states after Hindi or the other regional languages. Thirdly, it also shares the status of the official national language with Hindi and hence is the language of state administration and the law courts. Lastly, the importance of English in India as in other non-English speaking nations is the global currency as a language of technology and international commerce. It serves as an important communication link. Therefore, despite all the above conditions, undoubtedly, English serves as a communication link. Dear students, though it is not an exhaustive explanation into the topic, I have brought to understand the writer's 3 conflict areas from the essay. They are identified between number 1, the opposed advocates of a national language. Number 2, the linguistic regions. Number 3, between the privileged classes. Firstly, the opposed advocates of a national language, which means that for advocates of Hindi, the use of English is anti-national because it displaces the Rashtra Bhasha, Hindi. Secondly, between the linguistic regions, India being a highly populated nation which speaks a multitude of languages, there is always an unresolved conflict regarding Hindi being the national language spoken by half the Indian population, while the others speak various other regional languages. Another very valid observation made by the writer is that English is an asset enjoyed by the English-speaking upper classes. The debate reflects a conflict between 2 elite groups of the Indian society. One group, the nationally established educated elite, and the other being the rising elite group. They possibly create power structure at the national level. Furthermore, the language debate is dominant in two spheres of the society, according to the writer. One is culture, the other one is education. The misconception among the Indians is that despite English being important at a different level, it is perceived as a cultural and linguistic threat to indigenous literature. The concept of bilingualism has divided the actual language. For example, there is widespread use of English in journalism, but Hindi cinema and TV programs are more popular pan India. As we move further on this debate by the writer Professor Rajeswari, she found an appropriate double spoken language, which is called as Hinglish. And it is very common in English speaking among the Indians. By the way, Hinglish is a term used to denote the blend of Hindi and English, in particular, a variety of English used by speakers of Hindi, characterized by frequent use of Hindi vocabulary or constructions. This concept of Indian English has claimed to have a linguistic victory for the Indian speakers of English. However, the professor asserts that English is primarily important as the sole language of official administration in the country, that knowledge of it is crucial for white-collar job seekers. Therefore, it's important for such job seekers to be proficient in the communication skill, and it is hard to destabilize only through political intervention. Dear students, I hope we are able to understand the debating issues discussed so far. Furthermore, the writer draws our attention to the demand for English versus acquisition of language through various methods. Professor is of the idea that functional, specific, goal-directed language pedagogy can be learned only out of schools and colleges, as the trend has moved out of these arenas. In response to the above need, the mushrooming of bizarre institutes offering crash courses in spoken English for a variety of communication purposes like the interviews, exams, business correspondence is an indication of the marketplace response to this new strategy. It is a matter of concern and question on how far these techniques are effective in learning the skill of communication effectively. Therefore, in conclusion, my dear students, there can be methods to counter the challenges in language adoption. Number one, the radical move can be universal adoption of an Indian language as the medium of instruction in all schools, with English as a second language or as a subject. Second, English cannot be wished away from either our universities or our culture. Thirdly, English studies as a discipline is theoretically well developed in our country. Even Indian literature studies derive much of their theory as well as creative models from English studies. Number 4, politics of language in our country would not allow a simple abolition of English and a switch over to Hindi or other Indian language. The increasing influence of revivalist nationalism brackets Hindi with specific religious, civilizational, and nativist discourses that are linked to communalist, regressive trends in our society. As we come to the end of the essay, the writer administers a very important solution for English learners as an inclusive method for better learning of the language. Number one, English studies can help broker strategic counter moves in terms of pedagogic experimentation, expansion of the canon, and inclusion of comparative world literature to Indian literature in translation, interdisciplinary studies, and cultural studies. A rigorous, relevant background of English would prove English studies greatly helpful to students and teachers alike. Dear students, kindly go through the learning points once again for a clear understanding, and I suggest to read through the text of the essay for a wider understanding as prescribed for the syllabus. I greatly appreciate valid comments and feedback in the channel link, which can help further for topics of discussion or analysis. Dear students, I do hope that you have got a fair understanding to the essay, The Language Debate by Professor Rajeswari Sunder Rajan. I do want to reiterate that this is definitely not an exhaustive explanation into the topic. Thank you for this opportunity.